Hello.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. I'm sitting in the middle of an airport,
Oh,
and
right
it like
on.
popped up on my thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, look! I'm sitting here unoccupied. I moved away from my terminal."
Right on. Yeah, we're doing a hangout for the new Rockstar group, but I figured I'd just put it up and send it out to everybody anyways. So, how you doing, Christina?
Good. Things were a little crazy for me for this trip.
Where are
Um,
you?
I'm in Ontario, Southern California, not your Ontario.
There's a California. Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Um,
That's
it's
neat.
uh, it's in LA.
Huh. No idea. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, I was down here for a groundwater conference, and
Groundwater conference.
that's what I do for work.
Really?
I'm
I was a civil engineer well, I was a military engineer, but I never really engineered as a civilian, but we had to
oh
study groundwater and all that hydrology and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is that what you
like
do?
technically my job title is engineering geologist.
Neato. Yeah.
Um, I
That's
do
tricky stuff.
groundwater stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. That's kind of interesting. I found it kind of like, I don't know. It was too, I guess I'm too, I don't know. Like I wanted to study physics and they made me take civil engineering instead. Um, so after like third year, I was kind of like, but we're just like following cookbooks here, and nobody's explaining why things work. And anyway, that was my whole experience with that. So I was always
Yeah.
getting in shit. Yeah. So, but it's still neat stuff. I kind of like it now. I find it more interesting now that I didn't have to like when you're getting your degree. It's like holy crap! Like if I have to memorize one more formula.
Yeah. And then it really starts to feel like overwhelming because there's so much stuff you're trying to learn, and it gets frustrating because none of it's really applied at that point.
No.
It's
Yeah.
shoving it in your head.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. What are you on? Like an iPad or?
Actually, I'm on an iPhone.
Nice. It
Uh,
works well. I guess I could do
I
these
wa-
off of my iPhone. Sorry. What'd you say?
I wandered a couple of terminals away where there wasn't any people.
Cool. So I'm just gonna check, make sure that nobody's. Let me see if anybody's. I don't know. It's always tough the first podcast or hangout because people they don't know how to get on. So I tried to put up a bunch of like Q&As, but probably nobody's gonna look at them until like 6:05. So maybe I'll just launch into my spiel now. I'm gonna do a spiel on like intro to the group, so it may not be applicable, but feel
It's
free
fine.
to.
I'll probably only be on the next like 10, 15 minutes
Oh yeah,
until
and
we
then,
get bored.
yeah. Well, while I got you on, I wanted to talk to you anyways, but this is going to be published live or like publicly, so
It's
maybe I
okay.
won't.
We can talk later.
Yeah, yeah. But it wasn't anything bad. Just for the rest of everybody that's watching, it's just because Christina, what are you at? What are you at for?
Must be supervised at all times. Any unattended baggage will be subject to confiscation.
I think I can
I
see.
hate airports too, by the way. I used to have this job working for a company called Good Life Fitness, and they're like Planet Fitness for Canada, except better. They're not anywhere near as notorious as Planet Fitness. They're actually a pretty good company, but my job was supervising Atlantic Canada for personal training, and so they had me flying all over the place. I think 1 month I spent 23 days out of my house, out of like 30, and half of it was in airports, like with two cell phones on the go, with a BlackBerry and like a Razor, I think it was. This is way back, and like a notepad, trying to like manage like 15 teams of trainers and in these airports, and it's brutal. Anyway, so now I just kind of stay in Fredericton, and I do a lot of telecommuting, so it's much better for now. That was my
Yeah.
little So, but what are you at right now for total weight loss? Is it 18 pounds or
18.
18?
Yeah.
Wow. In like 4.5 or 5 weeks?
No,
Really?
actually less than that because remember the first 2 weeks I was in New York.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't start on time with everybody else. I started late.
Okay.
So it's kind of like 2.5 weeks.
So what do you think has been the thing that is there like one thing overall that has really been has created those results or?
Part of me makes like I really am thinking about whether or not like the protein ratio thing is making a difference because like I had sent you an email about it before, and I would probably have to guess that the years that I've been vegetarian, I probably hit about 40 grams of protein in a day.
Yeah.
And now, following the plan, I'm eating like 160,
Yeah.
150 grams of protein, which is ridiculous. But, I mean, it's working, so I don't have any complaints.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, yeah, I think it's tough too because I really want to make sure that I reach out to everybody, and I want to. Maybe I should turn that light off. Hold on one second. I wonder if that's better. No, that just looks creepy. All right. We're actually going to drop like $500 and set up like a good webcasting room. $500. Woo! But
And just put up a sheet behind you.
yeah, we could do that. But also, I got to get like a better webcam, and I have this like Yeti, and that works pretty good as far as audio quality. So, what was I saying? Like, I guess I'm really trying to figure out how to deal with like vegan and vegetarian clients because it's just hard when it's not hard when you're a trainer, but you see a lot of things over and over again, and you can't help but like attach some causation to that and kind of go, okay, so I'm seeing the same patterns consistently, and so I'm seeing stuff like, well, how do I get all this protein into me if I'm not willing to eat meat or fish or eggs or dairy? And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. How do you? And then
honestly, I was thinking about joining another fitness class, probably 3 months before I joined yours, and at the vegetarian. And actually,
Sorry.
I was trying to make the shift from vegetarian to vegan, and I asked the guy whose class it was. I said, "Can I do this vegan in your class?" And he told me best wishes, but it wouldn't work.
Yeah. And so that ended up pushing you away.
Well, so I decided not to join his class.
Yeah. So, like, because we have like 5 or 6 people that are either vegan or vegetarian on this group.
And I think the reason why you got them is because some of the other trainers have said they can't do it.
Yeah, but I mean,
like this guy.
I feel like I'm being dishonest though, because, and I'm a very like, if I could probably count 100 times in my careers where I've just blatantly shot myself in the foot by being completely honest, but I'm not capable of bullshit. I'm just not built that way. And so I kind of feel dishonest because I'll say, oh yeah, we can accommodate that. I just have no idea how. And I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll do pea protein and we'll do hemp protein and we'll do, but at the end of the day, like the fatty acids that are produced by other animals are kind of critical to human health. So you can take coconut oil and stuff like that, but it just gets so boring because there's so few options. And I just feel like sometimes I'm like, why do you want to be vegan? Like, people have this idea that vegan is really healthy. And like, I'm not trying to, sorry, I'd rather hear
for me personally, I wasn't choosing to be that way for health reasons. In fact, I could see that it probably wasn't doing really great for my health.
Yeah.
I was doing it because I felt guilty. And
Yeah.
I guess I should say feel guilty, because just because I'm eating meat again doesn't mean it's gone. It just means I'm like bashing that feeling aside right now.
Yeah.
That like that critter didn't need to die for me. We're in the 21st century. We have all of this access to other sources of protein. I live in the middle of California. I can eat fruits and vegetables in abundance. And
Yeah.
I'm not in landlocked middle America where my only solution is canned food.
Yeah, that's a good argument. That's an interesting argument.
But I always tell people that, like, I'm really a bad advocate, a bad model for being a vegetarian because I suck at it. Because I'm not particularly good at like eating a well-balanced diet. I turn into like a carbitarian.
Yeah.
Where, like, if I'm traveling, there's places in the Midwest and stuff, vegetarian is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
And you have to like get special requests to get a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm like fighting with this guy to not put the burger on my cheeseburger.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't make grilled cheese sandwiches. And I was like, just leave the patty off. I'm sure your like line cook can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's okay. Well, the first thing you said, this is interesting, is that, you know, we live in the 21st century. We have lots of substitutes. We don't need to kill animals. Well, I guess the first thing I would say to that is that makes some presumptions about the state of science, that we've managed to fully understand nutrition to the point where we can abandon Mother Nature. This is making the assumption that eating animals originally, before technology, was part of a healthy human diet. I'm going to make that assumption, even though that assumption could be questioned. But if we're going to work upon that assumption, then we're going to say, okay, well, science has taken over for Mother Nature, and we've learned so much about nutrition that we can now fuel a body in the absence of Mother Nature. We can use chemicals, and we can create foods that will be nourishing. We've proven time and time again that's false. A really interesting example was Linus Pauling was going on about vitamin C, how magical vitamin C was going to be, and it turned out, oh wait, vitamin C, did I get that wrong? No, sorry, vitamin A, not Linus Pauling, some other guy. Vitamin A was super powerful. Well, it turned out, no, it wasn't vitamin A, it was beta carotene that was really powerful, and that was much harder to create, so then we had to find that. But it's just like a tomato, for example, okay? Tomato's got like 10,000 different molecules in it, and we don't understand it. Like, we don't understand biology yet. We're getting there, but it's so much more complicated than engineering, because it's not like F equals MA. You know, it's not simple.
Forces that you can measure.
Yeah, like fuck, like we can't even. This is something I got into, and I was doing a cognitive philosophy class, whatever the hell that was. And I got in this debate, and they were going on about how, oh, we're gonna synthesize a human brain in like 10 years or whatever. And this was 15 years ago. So whatever that guy's name was, turns out I was right. We didn't do it. And I was like, we can't even make skin yet. We can't make human skin. And that seems like a fairly simple organism. All it does is protect the rest of the body. So how do you expect that we're actually going to be able to understand the intricacies of the brain? So I guess my point is that like the human body is so incredibly complicated. We don't understand it yet. We're constantly discovering, like the vitamin D thing. We were like, oh, like 2 years ago, it was like, oh, vitamin D is going to fix everything. And it's like, oops, turns out if we just slam vitamin D in, the body starts to develop all sorts of like autoimmune responses to that as well. It's not that simple. So the idea that we should turn away from Mother Nature is flawed. Now, and I think that's fair to say, like we need to try and the whole idea of ancestral health is to look back and go, okay, we were healthier before technology. So what have we done wrong? Well, what we did wrong is the human ego said, well, now that we have technology, we can solve everything. No, we're just starting to uncover a lot of secrets or a lot of mysteries. And we haven't uncovered most of them yet. We've just uncovered stuff like how to build bridges, how to conduct electricity, how to do simple logical tasks. Those things, those are easy. But human metabolism, that is complicated. And we are not there yet. We can't replace. We can't create organs yet. I mean, we're getting there, but so my point is that to say, oh yeah, well, we have science, so we should be able to fuel the body without harming any animals. It's like, well, then we should be able to harm the body or fuel the body without harming any plants either. We should just all be living off Soylent Green, but as Charlton Heston would demonstrate, that didn't turn out very well. So that's a flawed idea. I think it's fair to say. That might actually be a good subject for an article. And then, so if we back up and go, okay, well then maybe we could have been completely happy if we never ate animals, if we just lived off of fruits and vegetables. And it's like, well, we're at the top of the food chain. So people much more intelligent than me have demonstrated that the fact that we're at the top of the food chain pretty much dictates that we are required to consume foods that are full of information, basically foods that are slightly less complicated than us, but higher up on the food chain. Like the organism at the top of the food chain does not go all the way down to the bottom. It eats the things just one rung down. And so we're seeing, as we do nutritional surveys and we look at the nutritional density of food, we see stuff that like liver, oysters, fish, organ meats, those things are very, very high in the nutrients that humans need. Like kale is like 137th on the nutritional density scale. Like it's not, and I don't know if it's exactly 137th. I'm talking out of my ass here. Just disclaimer, Tom's talking out of his ass right now. But it's, so I guess my point is that this is something I've always seen. It's like, we need foods that have a lot of information in them for whatever reason. I don't know why yet, but do you know what I mean? Like we can't just eat things like amoebas or plankton and shit like that. And we can't eat just vegetables and fruits, and we can't live off carbohydrates. When we start to consume proteins, well, now we're getting into very complicated foods, and we see people starting to get healthier when they eat those foods. So that's interesting. Yeah. So I guess I'm not trying to say that overall it's a flawed concept. That's just kind of where I'm leaning. And I know it's almost like debating someone's religion with them. And I'm trying to figure out a way around it, but I'd rather have that discussion than just be like, no, we can't help people that want to eat vegan or vegetarian. We can't help them. And as far as the feeling bad about eating animals, it's like, I don't understand that. Like that doesn't, like, as far as a caretaker of the planet, like that's kind of the responsibility of the person that's the highest on, or the person. They
We're boarding for my plane.
I'm
gonna go. Sorry.
Okay.
But I'll watch the rest of it later. You can keep on the rant.
I'll keep on the rant, sure, and then hopefully someone will join and I'll start talking about something relevant.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Christina. Take care. Bye. So, for those of you that are listening, if there's anyone out there, that was just a standard rant of me chatting with a client. For the Rockstar 2 group, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just check the feed and I'll see if anybody's around. And while I am in a full-blown rant mode, I think I'll touch on this. So I've been really chewing on the vegan and the vegetarian thing, and trying to accommodate people. Accommodate's a bad word, trying to understand people, trying to understand, what's going to make them happy, what's going to create a sustainable health change for them. And I'm I'm a little bit at a loss because I as I was just saying, I feel like to say something like I don't want to eat animals because I feel guilty about it is it's confusing. Um, you know, and I am not an expert in ancestral health, and I'm not a diehard paleo guy.
We try to accommodate people.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay.
Good. So I'm going on a rant right now about vegetarianism and veganism.
I heard some of it. There is a food web, I just wanted to say, where animals can go down a little bit lower rungs than the...
Okay, yeah, like explain this to me. Because I'm in the information gathering stage at this point, and I have a really bad habit of because I was a army officer for 10 years, and it was basically my job to make sure people didn't get blown up and shit. I kind of jump to a path and I just bash on, but I've been trying as I get older to become a little more like listen to people and try to understand them because I want to try to help as many people as I can, if I can, and I'm like, but I'm just like, yeah. So the challenge is when you're dealing with someone and they've got this extra thing where they're like, well, I'm vegan, so I don't want to eat that. And it's like, okay, but it's really good for you. And they're like, yeah, but I don't want to eat it because I don't want an animal to die. Okay, I understand that. I have a dog. I understand what it's like to sympathize and not want to see things die, but it's a food chain or food web. Like, tell me more about this. I want to hear about this.
Okay, well, so orcas are at the top, and if you say they can only go down one rung lower...
No, I did. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said that, I'm like, someone's going to call me on that. So good for you. So, right. Orcas, and they eat what? Plankton?
They'll eat shark liver, great white shark liver. They eat seals. They eat fish. I suppose people maybe.
Yeah, see, like, they eat liver, right? You know why? Because that's, like, extremely...
Shark liver.
Yeah. So it's probably got that whole anti-Alzheimer's thing, plus it's got a lot of vitamin D in it. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But they know to go for the liver, right? Like they know that like offal is a good thing for them to eat. But what else do they eat mostly?
Fish and seals.
Yeah.
I guess probably some groups will go after dolphins, some won't. It depends on the family pod structure.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're not living off of just plankton, right?
Well, no.
They don't even eat that at all, right?
They're carnivores. They don't have the
Right.
mechanism to filter it out to get enough.
Okay. See, like I don't know anything about orcas.
Like
so,
dogs
yeah.
can eat plants. Cats are obligate carnivores.
Right. So yeah. So okay. Well. So if you're a cat, let's just pretend you're a cat, and you're an obligate carnivore, which is an interesting term. What does that mean?
It means they have to eat meat. Like you
Or they'll
can't.
die.
If you feed a cat dog food, they will die because they're not getting all of the protein they need.
Right.
Because dog food doesn't. I don't know. There's a protein that they can synthesize. The cats cannot.
Right.
So the cats will die.
So, and this is okay. Like, and I'm out of my element here because and I'm comfortable with that. But we're omnivores.
Yeah.
We can eat a lot of different things. But for optimum health, it's my personal feeling, and this is not based on my readings, because I mean, if you were to, I'm sure you could find readings from vegan bloggers that were saying, I live a perfectly healthy life, and I've never eaten an animal. That may be very true. And maybe there's a way to do it with like pea protein and stuff like that. But it's just a lot easier. I guess I think it is possible, but it's so much easier. So when I hear someone saying something like, saying two things. One, they're like, I'm kind of bored and I'm getting sick of eating the same foods. Oh, by the way, I'm a vegan. It's like, well, you need to choose which one. because I only have so many like vegan substitutes I can provide. And when it comes to meats, I have a lot. So, and there's not a lot of. There are some vegan nutritional coaches. There's a lot of vegan nutritional coaches, but you don't like. They're not on Photocracy that I know of. And sorry, I'm just trying to tell someone how to get onto the chat. So that's the one thing that I guess that's the issue is it's like you need to decide. It's like, well, if you feel extremely strongly about not eating animals, I'm sure there's a way to do that, and there's and there's but then you have to kind of make a compromise. You have to say, well, okay, then I guess I can't I don't have as much variety. You have variety because there's like hundreds of different vegetables and fruits. It's just as far as your protein sources, you're kind of going to be drinking like hemp protein, pea protein, rice protein, and tofu's garbage. So anyway, that was kind of my issue, I guess. I was just a little bit frustrated by that. Like I wrote out this coffee and butter thing today, and it's like, and oh, by the way, you could do coffee with coconut oil, and you could probably do a pea protein that was flavored in there too. If you wanted to do an unflavored protein, it's probably going to taste like shit. It's not going to taste good. So there's my thing. But I guess that's all I got on that.
I don't drink coffee, or caffeine.
Yeah, well, it was just because I had some people asking me about it, and they were saying, what's this bulletproof coffee thing? And I was like, well, before you go and drop $50 on this fancy coffee that you don't need to buy, I was just trying to prevent people from going down that rabbit hole, I guess. So, how's things going, Mary?
I had a rough day. I mean, it was a good day, but it was a rough day yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So fill me in. Or
well, I worked, and then I went and grabbed some 17-pound bricks for my mom's landscaping, and she made my siblings apple cobbler, with ice cream, and I was doing all right. And then I went to the gym. I wasn't quite.
You didn't eat the apple cobbler with the ice cream?
No, I didn't.
Right
I watched them eat it, though. So I went to the gym with my roommate, and she had a flat. So I took her to the store afterwards because she had to get food. And then when I got to the store, I was like, that's when it was started getting bad.
So
I bought some bananas, and then we left. But
so then it sounds like you did pretty good.
I did really well. I did everything I was supposed to. It was just really difficult at the end there.
Right. So did you like kind of give yourself a pat on the back for doing so well?
I did.
Okay, good.
But I don't want to have to do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was reading this. So I was reading this article. That's where they posted that shame thing. And because I mean, this is a well, it's a challenging issue. There's a number of challenging issues surrounding people eating food and the effect it has on their health. And the other thing that I felt I made a mistake with, because I'm always making mistakes. That's, like I've said before a few times, like, we're trying to do stuff. And one of the things I think that I did kind of incorrectly is when you call something an addiction, you give it a lot of power. And you make it seem like it's a life sentence, and it's really not. Like, your taste buds are going to change, your habits are going to change. You're going to rewire some of the things that you do, and things are going to get easier, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to gain more willpower, and you're going to gain more self-control. And when those things start to happen, then it's all downhill from there. Like it's all easier. So when I was saying, hi Diane, when I was saying, it's an addiction, I was trying to give some, I was trying to recognize how difficult it can be. But I wasn't trying to make it out to be like, unbearable and believing in your heart like, oh, I can never do this. Because one of the things that is crucial if you're trying to change your behavior is believing that you're capable of doing it. And we see like in AA they always talk about a higher power. So you don't need to be religious to harness the effectiveness of that. You just need to really. It's not that. I guess the idea with AA is they say like they acknowledge they're powerless over alcohol and they turn to a higher power to help them with it or something like that. So the reason that that's effective, at least according to the latest research, is that it gives you a belief in the ability to overcome the problem. And when you have that belief that if you persevere, things will get better, then it becomes a lot more doable. So, I guess I wanted to make it clear that it does get easier. Like you said yourself, like you just watched a bunch of people eating, what was it, apple pie and ice cream?
Well, yeah, but that was never really a big one for me.
Right. It
wasn't like...
But it's a step.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a step. And it's important to just kind of to not minimize it, That's the other thing I notice people do too, is they're like, yeah, well, it's like, no, like that was fucking good. Like, sorry, that was good that you did that, and it should be, and you should give yourself, a pat on the back because it's not easy. And to go to the store where you probably had some choices that you would have liked to have made, but you didn't.
Yeah.
But you didn't, right?
I didn't. It was close.
Yeah.
I went to the movies. Redbox saved me a little bit.
Right on. So, and that's the other thing. Yeah. See, that was a good strategy too. When you're trying to rewire your behavior, and again, I'm talking out of my ass here, but basically, what happens when you engage in a behavior, a dysfunctional behavior, that even that word's kind of judgy, but bad behavior or an unhealthy behavior, you get like a little bit of a dopamine kick, right? Boom.
Yeah.
And so if you can take that and stop doing that, but start doing something else, like watching a really funny movie or just something you like, replace that. Well, now you're starting to rewire, and so that's also a really good step. So, sounds like you actually initially kind of said, "Oh, it was a rough day," But
it was very difficult for my willpower. I used a lot of it.
That's also pretty good because you're recognizing that willpower is finite, and that you can run out of it. So, a good way to recharge is, I like the couch. Big fan of the couch, so just to. And like, there's really nothing wrong with like sitting down and either reading a book or, I'm a big fan of binge watching TV shows. I'll admit that. I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that says that's unhealthy too. Well, geez, everything's unhealthy nowadays. But you have to kind of recharge your willpower. You have to recognize, you know what? That was a challenging day. I made a lot of progress, and now I need to basically chill out and give my brain time to reboot or recharge. Diane, how are you doing?
It's funny, I just drove to the gym and I just checked my phone before I went into the gym and I saw an invite. So I'm sitting in my car in front of the gym listening to you guys. I guess you could call it procrastination from working out, but I guess in this case it's acceptable.
Well, yeah, and well, no, I don't. Yeah, good question. Well, you got a chance right now if you want anything like to pick my brain or to just vent about something, and then we'll get you into the gym in like less than 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good to go. I'm just happy to be home and happy to be able to get to the damn gym and do the stinking workout. I felt like such a slug all week long. It was just disgusting.
Okay, what was? Oh, it was just because you were traveling so much.
It's just part of my job. Sometimes it's worse than others, or just more frantic than others. And this is going to be pretty frantic until the end of the year. So that sucks. But it's not something I hate doing. I just don't like not being able to do my workout thing. The working out at 10 o'clock at night, yeah, you can do it. But,
yeah, you can, but
plus I just am tired by that time, you know?
yeah, I actually have.
I have a question for you. I was
Right.
talking to a friend of mine, an old friend in Phoenix this week, which was nice to see her. But we both do the same thing, and we're both on airplanes a lot. And we were talking about, she shares the same problem that I do, is the whole water retention thing when you fly. I got home last night, and this is very, very typical. I'll do this just to torture myself. I'll jump on the scale when I get home from a trip, and it was 4 pounds heavier than when I left.
Yeah, but does it go away?
And I got up this morning, and I jumped on the scale, and it was 4 pounds lighter than the night before. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of weight, you know. I mean, I know it's fluid. It is. My ankles get swollen, and you can see where my socks, leave an indentation, and it's just as bad as if you're a damn heart patient or something. It's awful. But it's just, it's the flying, and it's the atmospheric pressure changes. I don't know. I don't drink that much. When I fly,
Yeah.
drinking just fluid. I don't drink that. One problem is I don't drink enough water anyway. I've even used that as a New Year's resolution to try and drink more water, but I don't drink anything. I'll drink coffee in the morning.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, so 3 things. Hold on, I'm going to write them down, so.
But mostly, have you ever heard of that before? Have you?
Yeah. I've had a lot of guys, a lot of buddies of mine, I'm not that great of a power lifter that I fly around a lot to compete, but I have friends that do go down to the Arnold, and they go to West Side, and they go to a bunch of different places to compete, and they're at they'll get on a plane, and they'll get to their hotel, and they'll weigh in because they literally bring their scales, and they'll be like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm up 7 pounds, and then the next morning they're back down. So they the veterans will be like, don't worry about it. Just check your weight 12 hours after the flight, and make sure that you plan your itinerary so that you're not getting to the weigh-in for the competition right when you get off the plane, because you'll screw yourself. So that's one thing. I wouldn't even bother looking at the scale because you're just messing with your head. Okay, I would check.
I know, it's a great.
Yeah, and
it's a great mind blower.
Yeah, and this is the nature of the 21st century. Is there is so much information out there that you can create. You can go and you can tune into all sorts of negativity, and that's just we're basically trained to do that. We think, the problem is that the reason we're at the top of the food chain or next to the orcas, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. That was really interesting, though. I'm actually kind of curious about that. I like the people that kind of are always challenging and questioning things, because they force me to actually get smarter, and God knows I need that. So my point being that because we got to the top of the food chain because we were constantly surveying the environment and looking for danger, and we were the people that were happy and go lucky and never anxious and never worrisome. They're dead. They didn't make it past the caveman era. So we are a very anxious, worrisome. We're constantly looking for indicators that things are going wrong because we want to address those. Unfortunately, the nature of the environment we're currently in is that there's nothing going wrong anymore. We won the war. We're on the top, and now we just need to chill the hell out. So we need to adapt. We need to learn new skills. And we need to start trying to find ways to basically help us relax. If you ever want to, there's a great quote by Bill Murray. I think I quote it all the time, actually. I might have already quoted it on this group, but saying, there's not too many things in this world that you can't do better if you're a little bit more relaxed. And that guy, if you ever just want to watch somebody that's just kind of has figured out a few things in life, I thought I was supposed to get.
Oh, I love Bill Murray.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And so he's the kind of guy you watch and you just feel a little bit more at peace with yourself. And that's just something I struggle with it too. I mean, you do not spend 10 years in the military without having a little bit of a looking for all the problems, and that's still something I struggle with. It's something I've lost clients because I tend to always point out faults. I still do that, and but I guess my point is that I would just ignore that. I would just get up in the scale the next day and confirm that I wouldn't even check the scale that day. I check the scale once every 2 weeks, maybe. Or just.
Well, I do it mostly just because it's so fun to watch the scale go down for a change, because it just stays where it is. It's just a little tomfoolery.
Right. The next thing I would say is that absolutely, if you're not drinking 3 liters of water, that's the easiest thing you could do to make things better. Okay? It's huge. You're a biological organism. Reactions are not going to happen at an optimum rate if you do not have an aqueous environment. So the better hydrated you are, the faster you're going to see changes, and the better you're going to feel.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Now, just to carry it out, I'll do it. I'm doing it. I'll do it better. There's room for improvement.
There is, and the fact that you're acknowledging that that's a step is huge, and the fact that and maybe I'm going to try and find some quick tips on how to drink water more. Water. Well, it's one of the things too. Like sometimes trainers suck because we just do it because we've been doing it for years and we don't remember what it was like when it was hard for us. I don't think it was ever hard for me to drink water, so it's hard for me to empathize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bug some of my like in-person clients and just, I don't know, I'll figure something out and I'll get back to you. I'll put together some information on ways to increase water, because I'm always barking at people. Like I literally, when people come in here to the gym to train with me, I make them drink about 500 mils of water before they do anything else.
Yeah.
And if they bitch about it, then they're drinking the whole liter. And then I buy them another water, and it's like, no, like this is the 1 hour I have control over your behavior. You are going to drink water. And they're like, well, I'm just going to pee every 20 minutes. I'm like, great. Then I can respond to an email or something. So, yeah, but that's not good enough. Like I want to find out some way that we can actually. It has to do too with probiotics, like the quality of the bacteria in your stomach, because some bacteria like a less aqueous environment, and they typically are the ones that like carbs too. It's like, as complicated as Mother Nature is, there's some trends that are easy to predict. So.
That's interesting. I pretty much run screaming from carbs and have been doing that for the last, 5 or 6 years. So they're pretty much out of my life as much as I can, unless there's like a fresh piece of baklava sitting there, but that doesn't happen very often. So.
That's pretty good, yeah. Okay. So, okay. Well, I'm going to answer. Mary's written me a couple questions here that I've done a really good job of not reading because because I'm a human and I like to absorb everything and get overwhelmed, and I'm getting better at that. But I thought it was what aspect of your personality are you talking about there, Mary?
You told me when you went on the rant, and you said I needed to get rid of that aspect, part of my personality. When I was questioning.
Oh, questioning? Oh.
And
well, I was probably incorrect. Yeah. Maybe I have to go back and watch that. Which one was that? Was that like 2 weeks ago?
probably something around there as well.
Well, I might be. You might be misquoting me a little bit, but I don't know. Why don't I go watch it again?
I have the email response too.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like I basically say, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. So it makes me a better. It makes it well. I don't know if it makes me a better coach. It creates the opportunity for me to become a better coach when people are like, "Well, I don't want to do this," or "Blah blah blah. Blah. What about this?" It's like, yeah, but it doesn't help the person because sometimes you're like, you just want to say to them, to be quite honest, you just want to say, just do it, and just turn your brain off and do it and ride it out and just try. I was talking about trust, I think, and it's a double-edged sword because I don't want to stand there and be like, just do what I tell you and don't ask questions. I've never respected people that said that to me, and so I have a hard time when I find myself saying that. But at the same time, sometimes you're like, you can pick fly shit out of pepper all day long, and you can kind of sit there and you can chew things apart. And in the military we have this thing called, well, we used to. They change it every couple of years, but we used to have this planning process. It was called an OODA loop, and it was observe, analyze, decide, and act. And in the observation phase, everyone was encouraged to look at the situation, and in the analyst phase, the chief staff officer and the DC, anyways, a bunch of the senior guys would get the whole crew together, and we would all just talk about everything that could get screwed up and all these crazy ideas, and we whiteboard the shit out of it. And then the commander would come in and he would take a look at it and he would say, all right, I've heard everybody's input, here's what we're going to do. And then it was everybody shut up and we carried on. And so, I mean, that worked well in the military. I'm not saying that's an approach to life because there's a lot of things about the military that are completely dysfunctional. But, there's a point where you say, okay, I bought into this and now I'm just going to do it. And you can, and you get the yeah buts, you get the, well, yeah, but sometimes it's like, well, you said you were going to do it. So then you want to do it and then maybe run its course for a couple of weeks and then see if it's working. Because you could always stop and overanalyze things. And so some people do overanalyze them. I overanalyze things all the time. And I catch myself and then I force myself into like an OODA loop chain by myself, which is hilarious. But so yeah, there's nothing wrong with questioning, and I always encourage you to put things through. It's just for your own, when you're trying to like follow a meal plan or you're trying to do something, you can spend a lot of cognitive energy, and like you said like, oh, I used up a lot of my willpower. Willpower and decision making, they come from the same fuel source. They come from the same energy. So if you're thinking about things a lot, you can crush your willpower before you even try to use your willpower to actually change your behavior. Does that make any sense? Some? Any? No?
It does, but I'm not sure that I am capable of just turning off thinking.
I'm not asking you to turn off thinking, but there's thinking and doing. And, I mean, if you look at athletics and you look at the best, and I'm just saying everyone has the potential to act like an athlete. And the thing about being an athlete is that you're in the doing phase at that point. When you're playing basketball, you're not thinking about the art of basketball. You're just playing. And that's a completely different part of the brain than an analytical part. And some people, some very intelligent and very intelligent people will get trapped in the analytical side of their brain. And the nice thing about being over in the athletics part of your brain, if you will, is that it's freeing, it's relaxing, and you kind of are just off, and you just get to do things. So I understand what you're saying. I think it's that you like to think about things. I respect that, but you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Okay.
Kind of.
I'm not doing a really good job. Hey? Sorry,
it sounds like that's the part of the brain that the baseball player uses when he's throwing himself on the bases. I can't even imagine ever just launching on my gut towards driving through the dirt like that. I don't even like baseball, but you got to be able to be on automatic at some level.
You do. Like, I'm not actually a great athlete. I have played some sports at a kind of a high level, but it's usually because I work my ass off. And the difference between me and a guy that is like going to go to the CFL or the NFL or you know, go to the World Strongman or anything like that is that they turn their damn brain off, and they just like like when you like for me personally, when if I go to do a deadlift or a squat or a bench, as I walk up to the bar and I think about, you know, the last 25 years of lifting, and I've had probably a dozen, maybe 2 dozen injuries, like injuries while lifting, painful ones, and for a brief moment I'll be like, this is fucking stupid. There's no reason I should be doing this. I can go home right now. I still have the same amount of money in my bank account. Still, you know, do all the things I want to do tonight, and I don't need to do this. And I'm like, well, I want to do it. And then it takes a lot of thinking, and then I finally go, okay, just turn your brain off and let's go and just go through your routine. And you go and you try to do something really crazy, and it's really friggin' fun after. You're like, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. And I don't know, it's a moment of peace. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it. I almost want to write an article about that too. That's kind of why I enjoy interacting with you guys like this, is that I get dumbfounded and I don't have good answers. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go and I need to look at these things and think about them to come up with a better explanation. But that's what I was trying to say, and I don't feel like it came across the right way. So, and yeah, there is a book. Sorry, Diane, what were you going to say? Sorry?
I said, oh, I get it.
Yeah, I had a company that was called Elite Experience for a while. It was a bunch of gyms, and well, it wasn't a bunch of gyms. It was two gyms, and we named everything after like Greek mythology, because I liked a lot of the ideas, and I'm just romanticizing it at this point. But it was the idea that everyone was encouraged to be athletic in some aspect, like to do something athletic, but they were also encouraged to be, you know, scholars and whatnot. And nowadays our society is very stratified, and we put people into roles, and you know, we don't really embrace the fact that, as Robert Heinlein would say, specializations for insects. We should be a little bit more multi-capable, and I think everyone has the capability to be an athlete. You know, and that doesn't mean you need to run a marathon, you need to deadlift like 400 pounds or anything crazy like that. It just means that you can enjoy those things, and I don't know, that's just something I believe. So I keep trying to get to this, why zebras don't get ulcers. Yeah, I've heard of that book too. I don't remember who mentioned it. It was one podcast that I listened to, and I should check that out actually. So anyway, I haven't talked about anything to do with the Rockstar 2.0 group that I was supposed to talk about, so I'll probably owe them another video. And I have been on for about an hour now. So unless you guys have anything else, and you should probably get to the gym before you get a sunburn in your car.
It's right. I know. I'm getting a little thirsty in here.
Okay. Where are you guys at right now? I'm just curious. Like, where are we? Mary, where are you at?
Home.
Yeah, I know, but what city or state is that?
Oh, Wisconsin. Just
Right on.
south.
Just where?
South of you, kind of. In
Yeah, a little
general
bit.
sense.
And Diane, are you back in California?
I'm in San Diego.
San
We
Diego.
finally got our perfect weather, Beth. I'm very happy. It's nice to be
good.
home.
San Diego is... No, that's San Francisco, sorry. There's a guy, Kelly Storetta, out of San Francisco, that's phenomenal. But, all right, well, I'm going to shut it down. And it was great talking to you guys. Appreciate it. I have an entire page of notes, so appreciate that too. Probably at least 1 or 2 somewhat useful articles come out of this. And
Have a good rest of Saturday.
All right, you too. Have a good workout, Diane. And Mary, good
I will.
work yesterday on making good choices and just buying bananas.
Yeah. They're very green.
Hey?
They're very green. That's why I bought them.
All right. You like green banana? Oh, right. Yeah, right, because of the prebiotic. All right. I didn't even get that. Wow. All right, you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.